Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something you've probably heard a million times from friends and fitness gurus, intermittent fasting. But we're not just talking about dropping a few pounds here. Today, we're getting into the hard science, specifically how fasting physically rewires your gut-brain connection, alters your neurological health, and delicately shifts your hormonal balance. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll hit the fasting phenomenon, explore the gut-brain axis, look at brain health and protection, dive into the impact on female hormones, and finally wrap up with some crucial side effects you really need to watch out for. Let's get right into it.
Section 1, the fasting phenomenon. Because honestly, it is way more than just skipping meals.
You see, fasting isn't exactly a one-size-fits-all deal. Harvard Health actually breaks it down into 4 main types. You've got alternate day fasting, modified alternate day fasting, where you eat about a quarter of your normal calories every other day, periodic fasting, which strictly limits calories on just a couple of days a week, and then time-restricted eating, where you shrink your daily eating window. And here's the kicker. Each one of these triggers a totally unique cellular response inside your body. All right, moving to Section 2, the gut-brain axis, the biological connection. This is where the simple act of skipping breakfast turns into a wild, complex neurochemical symphony. There is literally a direct anatomical communication line running straight from your gut microbiota, right up your spinal cord and into your brain. It's a two-way street. What happens in your stomach absolutely does not stay in your stomach. Through immune, endocrine, and neurological pathways, your gut is constantly whispering and sometimes straight up shouting at your central nervous system. I absolutely love this concept from the research. Think of your gut microbiota as a literal biological rheostat, like a dimmer switch. It's constantly sensing your environment, including exactly when you are and aren't eating. It dials your biological responses up or down based simply on the presence or absence of food. This is exactly why your dietary timing matters so much to how you feel every single day.
So here's how the biochemical pathway actually plays out. Fasting physically remodels your gut bacteria, and this newly remodeled gut ramps up the production of short-chain fatty acids, specifically one called butyrate. Now, butyrate is special because it physically crosses your blood-brain barrier to boost the expression of BDNF, that's brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as high-grade fertilizer for your brain, promoting neuroplasticity and keeping your neurons alive and well.
Which brings us to Section 3, brain health and protection, shielding against disease. Let's see what happens when you load up on that brain fertilizer. When you increase BDNF and remodel that microbiome, the clinical outcomes are honestly staggering. In Alzheimer's models, fasting actually lowers those toxic beta amyloid plaques. In Parkinson's, it reduces neuroinflammation, which enhances motor skills. For multiple sclerosis, there's a decrease in autoimmune responses because of reduced inflammatory T cells. And get this, for mental health, fasting shifts specific gut bacteria ratios to directly relieve symptoms of anxiety and depression. It's a total game changer. But this biological dimmer switch requires a really delicate balance. So let's jump into Section 4, impact on female hormones. Finding the delicate balance. This is where the concept of fasting becomes highly nuanced. We really have to ask the obvious question here. How does depriving the body of energy affect the incredibly delicate hormonal balance needed for the female reproductive system? Because the hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis is hypersensitive to metabolic stress. Basically, your body is always going to prioritize survival over reproduction, every single time. What's super fascinating here is the stark contrast based on intensity. Mild to moderate fasting, when combined with eating enough calories overall, doesn't cross your body's critical energy threshold. It keeps crucial hormones like LH, FSH, and estradiol nice and stable. But severe or prolonged fasting, that acts as a massive metabolic stressor. It triggers this survival mode domino effect that actively suppresses the hormones your reproductive system completely relies on. However, the context of your underlying metabolic health is huge here. For instance, for women with polycystic ovary syndrome, or PCOS, intermittent fasting can actually be highly beneficial. By improving overall insulin sensitivity, moderate fasting helps reduce the pituitary overdrive caused by insulin resistance, which can actually help restore menstrual regularity. With all these profound internal changes happening, from gut bacteria overhauls to hormonal shifts, we need to look at Section 5, side effects to watch, the hidden risks of fasting. These are the physical side effects you need to be aware of in your daily life. First off, and probably the most immediately noticeable,
especially if you're trying alternate day fasting, you might just feel sick. As your body adjusts to a totally new energy system, you could experience headaches, lethargy, constipation, and some intense crankiness. Or, as your friends and family might call it, severe hanger.
Second, there is a massive biological push to overeat. When you're deprived of food, your appetite hormones and the hunger center in your brain basically go into overdrive. It's a primal survival mechanism, and honestly, it's incredibly hard to fight with just pure willpower. As Harvard Health points out, it's just human nature to want to reward yourself after the hard work of fasting. But indulging in unhealthy, high-calorie binges on your non-fasting days can totally negate all the benefits and cause some serious metabolic trouble, especially if you're eating at 11 p.m., completely throwing off your circadian rhythm. Third, here's a crucial warning. Older adults need to be incredibly careful with this. If your body weight is already somewhat marginal, the weight loss that comes with intermittent fasting can critically weaken your bone density, tank your energy levels, and severely compromise your immune system. Fourth, skipping meals can be downright dangerous if you're taking certain medications. If you take meds for diabetes, blood pressure, or heart disease, extended fasting makes you highly prone to severe sodium, potassium, and overall mineral imbalances. So if you do decide to try tuning your own metabolic rheostat, the research strongly recommends playing it smart. Ease into a fasting plan slowly over several months, rather than shocking your system on day one. Make sure you stay incredibly well hydrated with water and black coffee. And above all, always consult your doctor, especially if your meds require food so they don't tear up your stomach. Ultimately, intermittent fasting is a remarkably powerful biological rheostat. So the big question is, will you tune it carefully with moderate approaches to protect your brain and optimize your health? Or risk pushing your body into a state of metabolic panic? It's a fascinating physiological balancing act, and definitely something to chew on before you decide to skip your next meal.